Looking at this oil floating on the top of the water may be a very weird way of starting a video, but I have my reasons. I'm spending a weekend away from home, and as you can imagine, with the exception of an occasional sea-doo or boat, this is just absolutely peaceful and enjoyable. But of course, a forager never rests. And doing this video on American Spikenard has been really fun, actually, because not only did I learn a few things myself about the American Spikenard in this process, such as the oil that floats on the surface of the water as I clean the root system. But look at the roots. This plant here is huge, well, the plant was huge. The root is massive. I can't look at that. I can get my fingers right around it. It's huge. So all these roots are going to get dried off, put into the car to go home. And when they are totally dry, I'm going to get a clean brush, make sure all the dirt is out from in between all these crevices, because there are so many. And once that's done, I'll cut it up into small pieces and dry them out, just air dry them, and I will have tea for at least a year. But now that you have seen this little piece, let's get to the rest of the video, which will teach you a lot more about the American Spikenard. The American Spikenard, Aralia racemosa. This is a native plant to both Canada and the United States. And although these ones are not ripe, but I'll show you some others that are shortly, these berries are actually pretty tasty. They're not sweet, they're not bitter, they just seem to have that right flavor. I'm in an area right now where there are a lot of them. And things are a little different this year because I either find ones that are totally past their best before date, or I find some that are just starting to ripen. And there are a couple that I have found that are ripened, but very few, which is kind of odd. This is the last full weekend of September in the year 2022. And when I was in this area 1 year ago, during the third weekend of September, I was gathering so many berries. It was unbelievable, and they were ripe and they were amazing. However, having said all this about the berries being edible, you don't want to really eat a huge bowl of these, just a few here and there, because too many may cause some stomach problems. The American Spikenard is actually in the same family as ginseng and wild sarsaparilla. And so we know because of that, there's a lot of medicinal compounds, and I'll get into that a bit later. So let's go over here. As you can see, this is an erect plant. It's a perennial. And some people say it's like a shrub, but it's not really a shrub. And it forms colonies through rhizomes and also through the seeds that are produced in these berries. And I'm going to show you a root in a minute because I have over here set up a little prop, I guess you could say, where I found some ripe berries and root, and I'm going to get over to that shortly. So hang on. Okay, so I'm going to just talk briefly about the flowers, although I certainly don't have any flowers to show you, the flowers are 5-parted and they have small white to greenish triangular petals, and the sepals are green. And I know that the flowers are bisexual and they have 5 stamens. But like I mentioned, there are no flowers at this time of year. So what you're looking at here is, actually I took it out of the ground. I dug the root out so I could show you the root, and I'll be talking about that root shortly. Here are some ripe berries. Now the actual plant can grow, some people say it can get up to about 2 meters or 7 feet tall, but more commonly it is about 1 foot tall, or 3 feet tall, 3 feet tall or 1 meter. So now let's talk about the edible parts. No, wait a minute. Let's talk about the habitat. You can see the habitat that I'm in. So it definitely loves rich soils. They prefer wet to mesic woodlands, thickets. Technically, it can survive in full sun, but this is the environment that it much prefers, woodlands. And I already mentioned these grow throughout Canada and the United States, but I think it's primarily central to northeast. Now, the edible parts, as I mentioned, these berries are edible. Each individual one is very tiny, maybe 5 to 6 millimeters in size. What that is in inches, I don't know, but it's very tiny. And each of these berries have several light brown seeds. So this is why it's not really ideal for eating per se, as it is for making jams, jellies, fruit leathers, that kind of thing. Now, they ripen in September, and usually earlier September here. But as I mentioned, for some reason this year, things are different. And let me get down here. I have my hiking flip-flops on, so I know that sounds crazy. But anyways, this is what a lot of the berries are looking like right now. This root has been used medicinally for many, many years. And it has one long taproot and has a lot of rhizomes, as I mentioned, because that's one of the ways that it reproduces, as well as by seed. And this has been used for hundreds of years to help lung infections, coughs, catarrh, apparently even tuberculosis. There is no shortage of medicinal uses. Apparently it can promote, the root, I believe, promotes sweating, so it helps to detoxify. I can't find any literature on whether the leaves are usable, either medicinally or from an edible perspective, so I'm just going to stay right away from that. And the root, you can actually dry, chop it up, and you can use it to make a tea. But just have a tea made of this once in a while, not too often. Now let's go for a bit of a walk, because this is awfully hard on my knee. And let's see if I can find, let me just get out of here for a sec. There we go. This has actually been used in homeopathy. I think it was, there's one that's kind of past its best before date. I think it was the 1860s. There was a researcher by the name of Hale, and I believe his name was Edwin Moses Hale, and he did a lot of research into this plant, and his findings were absolutely amazing. He adopted the plant from American eclectics for use in homeopathy. So what exactly it was used for, I don't remember. I'm not at home. I'm actually away for the weekend. And that would be something that if you wanted to find more information about, to do a search online. Aralia racemosa originates from the Latin word racemus, which means cluster, and it refers to its cluster of flowers. And I'm going to pause it because here comes a car. Okay, they're gone. So there's still a lot of information about this plant that I'm not aware of, and I'm only able to share with you what I am aware of. And I think there was something else that was important, worth mentioning, that I think it was around the year 2010, there was a study released that showed extracts from the aerial parts of this plant demonstrated anti-tumor activity against breast tumor cells. And that was in a publication called Planta Medica, I believe. But again, if you do a search online, you might get more information on that. And the roots have been used as an analgesic and actually have a lot of qualities similar to that of the willow. Anyway, just thought I'd share with you a plant that is quite common here, where I'm hiding out for my birthday weekend, actually, with my family, having a great time. And I want to thank you for being here with me and watching my video. If you liked what you saw, please subscribe and be sure to hit the notification bell. And most importantly, if you like this video, please share. I want to thank you for watching. Thank you for being here once again. And to all of my subscribers, I thank you from the bottom of my heart. Thank you. Time to go gather my my tool and get back to the cottage. I call this my commando trowel. This thing has weight to it, and it's huge. It's absolutely amazing. Thank you, everyone.